This video is to show you how you can grade using the Beyond Labs LTI in your learning management system. So if you watch the due dates and point value system, you know that those things are done within your LMS, but the grading for the worksheets in Beyond Labs is done via the Beyond Labs LTI. So if you were to go to your grade section of your LMS, all you will see is the point values that the students have earned, and you can adjust these raw point values if you'd like, but you can't use your speed grader or anything like that to grade and see what students have done. If you do use speed grader or whatever grader your learning management system uses, you're not going to see any relevant or helpful information. So let me show you how to get to the Beyond Labs gradebook. And it's pretty simple. You just click on the assignment you want to grade, and then you're going to click on this LTI home button. And this preview, and it'll give you this new menu. This preview assessment takes you back to the preview. Grade list and item analysis are what I'm going to show you how to use today. And then settings and questions are more advanced options. Look at some of our advanced videos to see how you might use those if you're curious. You can honestly never touch these and everything will work just fine. So if I click on the grade list, it's going to show me these students, and I can see, and I've gone through and graded these students already. I'll show you a fresh student grading in our next example. But you can see the student has answered all the questions. There are some buttons up here. I can change the due date. I can override their score manually if I want. I can delete this worksheet and make them do it again. If they've gotten full credit on questions, I can hide all the questions. Then you see it hides those, or I can show them. Same with correct. I can hide anything they've unanswered. The most helpful button, though, I think for most people, you're going to ignore all of these buttons. Really, the one you're going to use is the Show All Answers button. So on each question, there's a key that if you click, it shows the key for the specific question. So rather than going and having to click the keys for all the questions, you can just click Show All Answers, and you'll see all the keys now pop up. And so what we have done is we have made it so questions that can be automatically graded are done so to the best of their ability. But it's still very wise, and we highly recommend you go through and check each and every question to make sure that the student has answered them correctly, or sometimes students that have answered them incorrectly will be missing a letter or have a misspelling, and it's easy for you to just give full credit, or you can just type here and say, well, you misspelled it, so you get 8 out of 10, whatever it might be. Questions that are highlighted are ones that you need to for sure grade. So these default to 0 out of 10. Again, I've gone through and graded this assignment already, and I'll show you what it looks like with our next student when you go through. There is this add feedback button, and you can type information here if you want. For example, you can see up here I typed in great work, but the student doesn't actually see that within the learning management system. They would have to log into the Beyond Labs LTI, and we don't give them the ability right now. So right now the feedback button essentially doesn't work. But you can give feedback through your learning management system, and your students will see that as they normally do. And so you can see we have gone through and graded. These questions are automatically graded that aren't highlighted, but I went and double checked and made sure that this student looked good. When you're done, you're going to click Save Changes. It'll save it and bring you back to the top. If you click this Return to Gradebook button, there's a glitch right now, and it just brings you back to the top of the student's worksheet. So to actually get back to the gradebook, you're either going to click on Gradebook or View Scores, and that'll take you back to a previous student, or the previous page where you can see all the student scores. So if I click on the student test, I can go through and I can see, okay, here is the same situation. I've graded. This student said dot in the middle. You notice the answer key isn't there because I forgot to click the button. So I can either click this, or I can go back to the top and say Show All Answers. Then I can go and give my students feedback. So you can see On this question, I had said the student simply said left instead of something like the spot moves to the left. I wanted them to be more descriptive, but maybe you think, hey, if they just say left, that's good enough. So you're going to click to give them full credit. Same here. Maybe you thought that was good enough. And maybe you're giving them just participation for the labs as long as they do it. So even if they're getting these questions wrong, you may be saying, well, you get full credit for trying. It's totally up to you. So you can type to adjust. The full credit button makes things easy. Just make sure when you're done, you click Save Changes. And then now if you go back to View Scores, you'll see that the students are updated. Their grades are updated here, and they will be updated automatically in your learning management system. So let me go ahead and go to a different assignment to show you this item analysis button. And this is true for any worksheet, but I think it'll be most helpful from this assignment. So if we go to the Rydberg equation, again, to access the gradebook, I click LTI Home. The grade list is a student by student grading method. What the item analysis is it is a question by question, which sometimes is more helpful. Again, the highlighted ones are ones that you need to grade for sure. But again, we recommend you grade every single question. So if I click on this grade, and there's other information here that you may find helpful, but really what we care about is let's click on grade. And now what this does is this shows me question 1 for all of my students. So I can see the student name. So there's Marie and my test student, and I can see how they've answered. And if students have had multiple tries, I can click Show All Tries, and it shows, okay, they've had just one try in this case, and they answered yes both times. And so there you'll see there's a few more buttons. So again, you can hide questions that are correct. If you trust the grading system, then that makes it easy. You just go look at the students that are incorrect. If students scored points, it hides that. If students haven't answered, you can hide those. You can prep these for printing. Again, show all answers. That's a nice button to use. Not really relevant here because of the multiple choice. Preview all files. I'll show you that. And then you can even say, hey, if the question is showing, give them all full credit, give them all no credit. And you'll notice if I hit the no credit, it goes down to 0. And then what you would do is you would click Save Changes or Quick Save. And the difference here is Quick Save will save your work and let you keep grading. So if you have 30 or 40 students, you can scroll through, do a quick save, and do 10 or 20 at a time. If I click Save Changes, it saves and kicks me back to this screen where I can move on to the next question. So that's the difference, is I can say, okay, I want everybody to have full credit, and I'm done with this question. So I'm going to click Save Changes. Now I see they've all gotten full credit. Let me go on to number 2. So again, for this one, what's going to be helpful is if I click Show All Answers, I can see the answer key says that the answer is they should say 4 lines. And there should be violet, blue, aqua, and red. So this student said blue, purple, blue, green, and red. That's good enough, so I'm going to give them full credit. And then violet, blue, cyan, and red, that works too. So again, if I click Quick Save, it just saves my work and lets me keep going. Or I can click Save Changes, and it takes me back to the next screen. So let's go on and look at their data table. So this is something that's automatically graded, and I'm going to click Show All Answers again so I can see. And so this lists the answers in the order they are on the table. So 411, 4.11 times 10 to the negative 7th, 2.34. So you can see that here. And then it highlights which box you can adjust if you want to adjust specific table scores. So I can see this student has typed everything in correctly. It looks good. And this student, it looks like they had everything in correctly, but they forgot to add their scientific notation on these numbers. So you may opt to say, hey, they can get half credit for that, or I'm going to leave it at 0 credit. I'm okay with that. They should know to put in scientific notation. But again, all of that's your personal preference. So we can go through and you see very similar with these questions. So if you say, hey, everybody's looks good, I can click full credit for everybody, save changes, move on to the next one. With these that are maybe a little bit more intensive as far as you need to focus in, we'll give you a generic answer. So Energy and wavelength are inversely proportional. Smallest energy transition from 3 to 2 would correspond to the longest wavelength. The largest energy transition from 6 to 2 would correspond to the shortest wavelength. So we can see these students said, okay, so the red correlated to the shortest wavelength, the purple line, the red, which is the longer wavelength, correlated to n equals 3 to n equals 2. And so you may adjust things from there. However you may want to do it. So you can say, okay, you all tried, full credit or no credit, whatever you may want to do for these questions. But we'll give you the answer key so you can see clearly which one goes where. Let's go through, again, some of these automatic ones. You can just go through and double check. Everything looked good so far, so I'm going to click save and go back. Question 7, I can see, okay, this student got it right, this student got it wrong, so I may see if they tried multiple times. Looks like they didn't. I can see their answer, what it should be. So again, up to you how you grade that. Really what I want to show you here is a file submission. So with a file submission, students can upload a file. So this file is to show their work from the previous question, which may help you grade the previous question. And so if you click this plus sign, it will show you the file, assuming that the student has uploaded a correct file. So we can see this student tried to upload an Excel file. That can't be read by the system. They'll need to upload a PDF or a picture. But if you click this preview all files, instead of clicking the plus sign for all students, you can just click preview, and then you can see, okay, here's what the student should have uploaded. So PDF and pictures are the best files to upload. And then, so we can see this student, and then we can see where this student made the error. They switched their Y and X axis, so that's why they had the answer they had in the last question. So I would click this student, they got it right. So maybe I would say, well, I can assume that their file is good, or I would have to message this student and say, hey, you need to resubmit the file. If students have submitted more than one file, then they would both show up in their tries. However, the one that shows up here is the file they've most recently submitted. So I'm just going to click save and move on. And then again, to be consistent, I would go through and check. And this was a great example of this student has correctly calculated their percent error, but it doesn't match the one that we calculated for when we went through and graphed the information. So I know that the student has done it correct, so I'm actually going to go through and give a point. So this is a perfect example of why you still want to grade even the automatically graded questions, because students can still get the answer correct and get it marked wrong. And that's something that we're working through to fix where we can. But like I've said in a previous video, the main purpose of this LTI system is a digital system for you to check students' work. So that is a introduction and a how-to for the gradebook in Beyond Labz using our LTI. And again, you have two options. You have from the LTI home, you have the grade list, which is student by student, or you have the item analysis, which is question by question. And as you grade things here, it will update students' grades automatically in your learning management system. So if you have any questions about the grading, feel free to reach out to our support team, support at Beyond Labz. Reach out to me personally, Carter at Beyond Labz. I am very familiar with this grading system and can answer and help you with most questions. Or as always, check out our community page at our Beyond Labz community, and there'll be plenty of people that can help you out there. One last thing I did want to show you before I end this video is with some of these answers, we can get pretty detailed. So the answers I showed you were pretty basic, but I wanted to show you that for answers, so for example, for this organic problem, students were asked to write a mechanism and attach a file of that mechanism. And if there's a button here that says show detailed solution, we have included a detailed mechanism or a more detailed answer than what we could type in the answer key. So that detailed solution is very helpful to show you detailed information about the answer that you can use to grade. And with that, I think you have everything you need to get started in grading in the Beyond Labs LTI. And again, if you have questions, please reach out.